Alright guys, welcome back to a new video. I have a few changes to the car that I want to make, and I want to see what you guys think first. Alright guys, so in the previous version of the Blade, the hood was designed a little differently than it is now. We've made quite a bit of changes to the design and basically the size of it and the size of the vents and the way that they're shaped, and just the overall shape and function of the hood has altered quite a bit, and that has kind of thrown up some questions on whether I should keep the way that the hood used to open before, which was more of that clamshell fashion where it opened towards the front, kind of slid down, something like you'd see on an old Viper. Currently the hood's been, the width has been increased about 6 inches overall, and it's now heavier and it's got bigger side vents, and I'm worried about the size and the weight of the hood and trying to support it on kind of a front mounting hinging system. And I'm thinking about maybe converting it over to something like a standard hood style, to where there's a more of a cutout and it opens like a standard hood. So there would be just normal hinges in the back, and then kind of your gas strut rod that kind of props it open, instead of this intricate cantilever style system that actually picks up the hood and kind of tilts it forward and over the front of the car. I had developed something like that that kind of worked, but never really got it perfected, and it really took up a lot of space in the inside of the car around the turbo systems and the cooling system, and just created a lot of headaches. So right now, since I'm simplifying a lot of things with the car and trying to make it something that's more practical and easy to work on from a race car standpoint, and from the average person being able to work on the car, then I'm leaning more towards converting it to that standard style hood. So let me kind of show you on the car what I'm talking about. I have to actually turn my phone off to flip the camera, so hang on. All right, so here we are with the overall look of the hood, and as you see, I still have a lot of work to do, but basically right at this line, if you can see where my finger's at, then there was this, this is where the hood separated. So it went all the way across to the fender opening, or the wheel opening right there, and then there was another slice that came down right here, and basically that whole piece tilted forward, or it just came completely off, say for like the videos that we have at the racetrack, because I hadn't yet fully finished the way that the hinging system worked, and I wasn't really confident in having that on while we're running it hard at the track, and I didn't want to be in a situation where the hood was stuck on the car and maybe I had a fire or some type of massive leak or something going on that I couldn't access very quickly. And this is not the type of hood you can take off with just one person, or it's even a little challenging for two the way that we had it. So with this new style that I'm looking at doing, it'll make all that a little bit more simplified. And basically, let me show you on this picture here. You can see this is where the split line was, similar to this, and then right there, and then this whole piece would flip up. And I thought I had a picture. I guess I don't. So I thought I had a picture of that. I know I have some out there, maybe on my website or whatever, but you definitely see it on my Instagram on how the hood opens and things like that. But now that the hood is the size that it is, I think it's important to address that now, since I'm doing all this cutting and bonding of fenders and all this crazy stuff. And I think right now I kind of have it just temporarily drawn out right here, and basically looking at making that kind of a cut line to the hood on both sides, and then this whole piece would come up more of a standard hood style with your standard hinges in the back, and then that gas strut rod that holds it up and supports it. I could still even do the forward tilting hood feature, but you know, it's still complex and it still takes up a lot of room in the engine bay with the size of the hinges, although the weight of the hood would no longer be such an issue compared to this whole thing coming up with it. It just kind of makes almost like a makeshift parachute when it's sitting up, and then the wind catches it, you know, and then it just rips your hood off. So so anyway, so that's my thought process. And, you know, I'm basically curious what you guys think about this idea. If you think that's a yay or nay. I'm kind of leaning more towards this. It's actually a little bit more work because I have to now cut all this area out, making, you know, water drip rails and support everything, and all the fenders now have to be supported with you know, new roll cage supports and chassis supports along this body line. The way it was before was a little different, and because the hood was all part of it, it was kind of self-supporting in a lot of areas. But, you know, so there's, you know, plus and minus things to the benefits of this, but I think overall it might be a good idea to go that direction, and just, you know, wanted to share that with you guys and see what you guys thought of that. So with that said, you know, let me know what you think in the comments, and then I'll see, you know, what direction we end up going, just kind of based on what everybody's feedback is and what seems to make the most sense. So anyway, you know, let me know what you think. All right, so then on top of that, as you notice, I still have all the fenders on the car kind of mocked up, and you're seeing all of this good stuff. And I know it looks kind of gnarly and nasty right now, but this is now at the point of being bonded to the car. So I wanted to kind of go over some of that with you now and kind of explain how this is going to be bonded, because as you can see, these are two different pieces. Here's the original body, here's the new fenders that are made, and the old fender part is cut out on both the front and the back, and kind of the side valance area down here, and then all that's all cut up and reshaped and designed now. So even though it looks kind of nasty, all that's going to be blended in once it's, you know, bonded to the car. Now with that, I have yet to do the other side, although I have all the panels made exactly the way that they are over here. And they're mounted and everything. However, I haven't done all the shaping or bonding yet because I'm doing this in stages, and I think that's something that's important to share, you know, with you guys when you're doing something like this and you're working on a project that has symmetry to it, to both sides. Then you don't want to just do one whole side complete and then go to the other side. You kind of want to do it in stages, and so that's what I've been doing. Is basically I've been shaping and designing the fenders and doing that on both sides, but I'm doing one side a little bit ahead of the other so that I can kind of deal with all the learning curves and changes and, you know, modifications that need to be made on the spot, so that when I get on to the other side, it will actually save me some time and some work, and I'm not kind of duplicating all of my mistakes again over and trying to do everything all at the same time. And when you do that, then you kind of end up with going back and forth, and then you end up choosing a side that, you know, you think looks best, and it just makes it a pain. I've been down that road before. So let me show you basically what I've got. Some new stuff in. I'm waiting on some more material for the next video for when we bond these pieces to the car. And once it's all bonded, then everything gets blended into the body. And so let me talk about that. Just one sec. All right, guys. So like I said, I need to bond my new modified fender panels and other components to the final car now. And so I have some new products for this, and it's something that, you know, I felt it was important to share with you guys, because I know a lot of you guys are probably dealing with trying to bond, you know, fiberglass fender pieces to your car, and, you know, what to use and what product works best, and what are your options, right? And those are some of the things that I was definitely running into, because when you have two already cured pieces of fiberglass, when you go to bond those pieces together, it's more of a mechanical bond, and you're kind of gluing them together, and you have this substrate in the middle that's bonding it. And if you don't use the right kind, then you don't really have a good bond, and it can delaminate or just pull apart on you, depending on the stresses that are applied for the part. So if you have it in a pretty stressful places, and I think like fenders and side pieces on the car can be pretty stressful from just the winds and things like that are hitting up against the side of the car, and from the wheels spinning on the inside, and just debris and all that stuff. So I wanted to make sure to use something that was going to bond it in the best way possible. And so I ended up getting a product. Now you can go a couple of different routes depending on the size of your piece that you need to bond together. You can actually continue using, if you're working with fiberglass, which is like a polyester resin, and fiberglass mat or cloth or whatever composite material you're working with, you can continue to use the resin to make a pretty good bond with that. The problem is that if you're working with regular style resins and fillers or Bondo style hardeners and whatever, then the setup time is very fast, and you don't have a lot of working time with the part to get it positioned just right. And that is whether you're working with polyester or vinyl ester. If you're working with epoxies, then you have a lot more time to work with the part, and it's kind of a different process altogether. But my car, the main part of it is made out of vinyl ester, which is a little different, has a little higher heat range, and the resin material is a little stronger. The kind of bonding, I don't know, parts of the resin itself, the way that it's chained together chemically, is a little more dense than, say, like a polyester, where you get a rigid bond, but it doesn't handle heat, and it tends to shrink a lot more. So with vinyl ester, you get a little bit less shrinkage, and you get more heat durability and a little bit more puncture resistant with that type. It's a little bit more expensive, and in some cases it can be a lot more expensive, and it just kind of depends on also the materials that you're using for your core, as far as your composite material, whether it's fiberglass or carbon fiber or whatever, Kevlar. And that's why we use it on this, because we have some Kevlar in front and on the roof, and certain areas that we needed some real puncture resistant strength, but also crush resistance as well, and just certain things like that that we just kind of experimented with around the car. So with that being said, I needed a bonding material, kind of a good glue that would bond my fiberglass side, new fenders and side skirt pieces to the car at the best possible way, using the best chemical and mechanical bond possible. And so I ended up getting this stuff. I'll show you. All right, so got this stuff from some kind of site, Auto Body Tool Mart. I've never ordered anything from there, but there's a little shout out to them. And it seems like it's pretty good. It's kind of got Harbor Freight style magazine, but all the tools and all the things inside of it are of a much higher quality. So they have a pretty big selection of stuff. They gave me a lot of magazines, so as you can see, or catalogs, I guess. And so as you can see, I have some mixing tubes. All right, so this takes the material. I don't know if you can see all those little ramps and spirals, kind of, sort of, inside of there. So that's going to take, it's a two-part kind of epoxy glue, and it ends up mixing everything as it shoots through this tube. So when it finally comes out at the end, it's perfectly mixed for you, and you don't have to sit there and squirt it out on a on some kind of board or cardboard and mix it all together. I've already opened this, so this is the contraption. So you stick your tube inside of here, and then you squeeze that. So that has a little button right here, and you pull that back, and it's pretty much like a caulking gun. So, which actually, so yeah, so here's a caulking gun, just has silicone stuff in it, and as you squeeze it, you know, it shoots the stuff out. So it's the same thing as that, and so I have the stuff here. It's in this bag. So this is stuff, it's called, what is it? Fuser, and this one's 127 easy, which I believe gives you an hour of working time, which is real important. Like I said, there's a bunch of different versions of this, and you can use different materials like, you know, your normal hardeners and resins and stuff. But the working time on them is about 5 minutes to 30 minutes, and I really want to be able to do this in one kind of big shot, and also be able to position it and reposition it, and more importantly, clamp it down the proper way so that it affixes to the car the best way possible. So let's just open this with my trusty knife. So, all right. All right. So it's kind of like an unboxing on my channel. So here's the stuff, the Fuser 127. So as you can see, it's a two-part. You got your white and your, I guess it's black or brown. And basically, when you put it in these little tubes, so you have these little tubes that go on the end. I'm going to show you. Alright, so it has like a little stopper piece. It's got two plugs on the inside there. Now this is kind of like what you'd find at like a normal Home Depot, but this is much larger. So it's actually the same size as that silicone. It's 300 milliliters, I believe. Yes. Yeah, and the work time is 50 to 60 minutes. So that's just perfect for, you know, mounting the fender, and then it sets up within 4 hours. So then you take one of these guys right here, and you just pop it through this thing you just screwed off, and of course you would take these plugs out, and then you just screw it on like that. And I don't think it matters the position, and then once you start squeezing it out, it automatically mixes it. So I believe, I have not put all this together, so I think, all right, so there we go. So there it is. Release the little plunger piece, and then now you're ready to push that in. I don't want to do that just yet. And you're ready to start doing it. It's pretty huge actually compared to the normal epoxy tube that you would find at the store. So this kind of gives you an idea. Looks like a crazy ray gun thing. And this will bond the fenders. Now this is actually designed for exactly doing what I'm doing. This is for panel repair in the automotive industry. And there's a few different products like this that people have been using for 50 years on old Corvettes and Lotuses and things like that, where the bodies are bonded to metal and to aluminum. And then also like on Corvettes, a lot of the body is bonded to more fiberglass. So everything from the side panels to the top piece, it's actually all bonded together using a glue, kind of like this. So that kind of gives you an idea of what to expect when you need to bond two materials together and have the best strength possible to hold those. And this is all, like once you get through with it, you can sand it. It's a full mechanical, and this one has a little bit of a chemical bond too. So there's a spray adhesive, which hasn't arrived yet, but that adhesive, or not, it's not really an adhesive, it's actually a, I really don't know what it is. It's a spray that is kind of like a solvent, I guess, to the surface. It's more of a surface prep spray, I guess is what it is. And that helps the chemical bond to the surface, mixed with also the mechanical bonding part of it. And there you go. So the fender should be really good. And another little quick thing is when you're bonding two types of fiberglass together, you want to make sure that you let those pieces sit around for a little while. If you don't, what happens is if you have a big piece of fiberglass that's really thick, the cure time on it will take a little bit longer, and it tends to shrink over a period of time. If you have a thin piece of fiberglass, say my Fenders right here, right? So these are pretty lightweight and they're thinner. They will cure a lot quicker, and they'll shrink quickly too. Now this car's a lot, it's a year old basically. My Fenders are a lot newer, although they've been sitting around for the past 9 months. So I'm not really worried about too much shrinking with the parts. If you bond two parts together and they start shrinking at different rates, then it can delaminate on you and cause a lot of stress fractures and things like that in the part. That was real evident when we first built this car, and then it had only been just a couple of days out of the mold, and then we went and had it wrapped because we only had a few days to get to SEMA in time. So we did everything as quickly as possible, and we got to SEMA, and we actually noticed that the wrap started to have creases and wrinkles in it because the body was continuing to cure and shrink, but the wrap was not, and so it was just starting to pull in some places. It wasn't super evident, but we were able to fix a lot of it with a heat gun and just kind of finessing it, and so that helped out a lot. But anyway, just something to keep in mind while you're working with these types of materials. They do shrink, and they shrink at different rates, and the temperature makes a big factor in that. So when you're bonding things together in a fast timeline, just be aware that they'll hold up for a while, but say in like a few months from then, you may see stress fractures, wrinkling, all kinds of different weird wonky things will start happening. At any rate, just a little tip that I've learned from some experience, and also the pros neglected to tell me. So anyway, all right, so that's it with this video. In the next video, I plan on doing the bonding of the side fenders and doing some more finesse work and supporting, and then making the decision about the hood. So make sure you check back in about a week. I'm trying to get these videos out every week at least, close to that, and try to keep this going on a more regular basis. So if you like this so far, then please thumbs up, and make sure you check the little bell deal to get notifications. And if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe, and check back next time. I'll see you guys later.